Hi folks, hope you're all good. Kieran here again. Just thought I'd do a quick video about gun control, which I've never done a video on before. Okay, basically I ended up doing some research on this topic, and I don't normally do much research, not much of a researcher, so don't want to waste the research and not do a video on it. So basically what happened is I basically had a debate in the comment section of one of lengthyounarther's video. lengthyounarther, yeah, it's a bit of a cumbersome name, was kind enough to have a debate with me about gun control in the comment section of one of his videos. So thanks lengthyounarther, if you're listening to this, for engaging with me. lengthyounarther's got a lot more following online than I've got, so it was decent of him to spend the time discussing this with me. He's a massively anti-gun control guy, and I, as you will find out, am moderately pro-gun control. Okay, so the way it started was that he's done many videos on gun control, and in one of his videos he was talking about how Australia is often used as an example of gun control going well, but he was claiming that that wasn't the case, and the same with the UK, and he sounded pretty convincing. So I actually, after watching that video of his, I kind of followed his position and became a anti-gun control person, but only for about 15 minutes, because I was a little bit skeptical maybe, and I decided to check out Wikipedia, and Wikipedia's article, which is called Gun Control, seems like a really well-researched thing, and it give numerous examples of how gun control measures, so carrying weapons and owning weapons, things like that, guns, making that illegal reduces the homicide rate. Okay, so to begin with, in another of lengthyounarther's videos, he was clarifying I think quite important point about gun control, which was that in the debate about gun control, people often talk about gun deaths generally, also gun violence, and also talk about gun suicides, gun homicides, and and homicides in general, which is also different to gun homicides, and also gun accidents. And he was claiming that a lot of people who are pro-gun control often lump them together as gun violence, which is maybe disingenuous. I haven't really looked into what he was thinking, which liberals he was talking about who said that, and so I can't really judge on that. But I think he's right in that it's important to clarify the different points, the different variables here, because at least as far as the USA is concerned, I think most gun deaths are in fact suicides. So there's like about twice as many suicides as homicides, and the gun accident rate is something like a fifth or something of the homicide rate. I forget if this is the gun homicide rate I'm talking about here, or the homicide rate generally. But he was right, I think, to clarify those things. And I think ethically we shouldn't, and he made this point as well, we shouldn't take them as being equivalent. So ethically, I think we can all agree that a suicide is a very different event than a homicide, and an accident's again another ethical situation, brings in different ethical considerations. And I think lengthyounarther was basically taking the view that there's nothing really, I mean, you shouldn't restrict someone's freedom in order to stop homicide. That's not homicide. In order to stop suicides or accidents, because he was considering that gun accidents would generally the victim ends up as the person who was using a gun, who's kind of consented to take the risk. And suicides, I think he would think, is like a matter of personal choice. As far as this debate with him goes, I kind of went along with that. I do have some reservations about at least the suicides. The suicides of young people, I certainly would see as a bad thing, which the state might want to be a little bit paternalistic about. I'll be kind of okay with that. So anyway, looking at this debate, looking at rather the Wikipedia page on gun control, that did seem to come up with numerous examples of the homicide rate rather than the gun homicide rate. I mean, there were loads of different studies mentioned, but I think there was a fair amount of evidence for the for the homicide rate rather, being positively related to the amount of guns being available. So gun control basically lowering the homicide rate. I made a comment about that on his video, and that's how we got into this comments discussion. I did, in the course of the comments discussion, I did look into it a little bit further, because I don't want to rely just on one Wikipedia article. First of all, I looked into the actual references of the Wikipedia article, and that I did notice that the studies they're quoting, so there are like 11 studies that they quote positively relating gun control to the homicide rate. Some of them are longitudinal studies, so they're looking at one place over time, a place that's enacted some gun legislation, to see what the effect over time of that change in the law was on the homicide rate in various places. So there was one in South Africa, one in Austria, Connecticut, and some other places, I forget where. Didn't include Australia or the UK, so they weren't being held up as examples there. And then I also did a DuckDuckGo search. I use DuckDuckGo search engine rather than Google, so I don't grant them Google too much power over information. And DuckDuckGo, I searched for homicide rate and gun control, and it was an hour and a half or something looking. And I found 4 academic studies of the homicide rate and the and gun control, and they all had a positive relationship, either partly positive in the sense that they were looking at one gun control measure versus the homicide rate, or it was just a general connection between the two. So that seemed to confirm what the Wikipedia article was saying. So I also tried to look at the magnitude of the effect on the homicide rate. So I think most of the studies, a lot of the studies didn't really quantify it very well. And I think some of them were saying, I forget the figures now, let's say 13% per year reduction in homicide rate in a place, but I don't know how long that goes on for. I mean, presumably it can't go on forever. It must sort of bottom out after a certain point. I think another one was saying a higher figure, but again, I don't think it was clear what the long-term effect would be. I don't think the studies were able to really look at that. Then I did look at the magnitude, the the amount of homicide that's going on, and that actually made me question whether gun control should take place, especially in the USA, because in the USA, I think about 5 people per year per 100,000 people die of homicide, and that's about the world average. Actually, I think it's about 6 per 100,000 people per year in the world die of homicides, and yet there are about a third of American households or something have a gun. So it's really just a huge hobby, and very few people, really get killed through it. And also, as I just said, if you did ban guns or whatever, you can't expect all homicides to go away. You're talking about, I don't know, whatever, a certain percentage per year going away, but that would bottom out. So let's assume, I don't know, you're going to be reducing homicides by a third or something. Let's say, as a complete guess, really. So there's only 1 or 2 people per 100,000 per year being saved. So if you imagine it ethically, it's a bit like, imagine you lived in a house where there are 3 people living. One person has this hobby which increases the chance of death for everyone in the house by 1 or 2 per 100,000 per year. Would the people in that house agree, or the other 2, would they let that person have that hobby? Seems to me that it's quite a low risk. I mean, it's quite a kind of acceptable risk, perhaps. I don't know what to say. Also, with regard to the USA situation, because I'm in the UK, I'm not going to be in the USA. I'm probably not going to live there. I'm probably never going to have a vote on gun control measures like people in the USA have. So over here, we don't have so much democracy. So the issue is not. We're not going to have a referendum on this. Also, it's a complete non-issue. None of the parties are interested in it. There's not really grassroots campaigning on it either. It's just not an issue that the right or the left have taken much of an interest in. So it's not really going to come up here. So I think there's a bit of a problem with someone like in the UK sort of going on about American gun problems. I think that's sort of banging on about someone else's fault is it just doesn't have much of a good effect. I mean, Americans are not going to be lectured to by me anyway on this issue. So I guess if I was American, I probably would vote for gun control. Certainly in the UK, if it did come up, I probably would vote for gun control. But especially in the US situation where there's much higher rates of gun ownership, I feel far less strongly about it. So those are my opinions on gun control. Hope you found this video interesting. I thought it was an interesting topic to research, and I should try and research more topics in more detail than I've done in the past. Okay, all the best, folks. Bye.